Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. You made Diamond K in here, of course. The Diamond K Show on Fire TV. And we have a few special guests in the building. And I am going to let them introduce themselves. Please start with you.
Hi, guys. I'm Manigo, president of Sound Vision Ladies. Glad to be here with you guys on the panel. I thank these young ladies for inviting me.
I'm SMonique Smith. I am a survivor of child abduction and human trafficking. I'm an author, a director of a movie. I am the longest living Jane Doe, and I've probably been doing advocacy here in the state of Maryland, or rather the DMV area, for a little over 15 years. So I'm excited to be here to talk about missing children and what we as a community can do to actually combat this epidemic.
And I am Val Jenkins, the founder of Hug, Don't Shoot. I've been doing Hug, Don't Shoot for August, make 8 years, but I've been in the community basically my whole entire life.
All right, and today we're going to have a very serious discussion on a topic that I think has touched everyone in one way or another, and that is about missing children. And so the U.S. Marshal rescued 200 missing children over the last 6 weeks. This is something that it's been an ongoing thing. It's not like it's stopped. It's just, to me, it seems like it's been an increase, but maybe I'm wrong, but it feels that way. In Baltimore, there have been a lot of cases and situations, and I know that all of you have probably been touched in different ways by this epidemic. Let's start with you, Val. What has touched you as far as missing children, and how does that fall on your radar?
Well, before Hug Don't Shoot was birthed, it's not that I didn't care about the missing kids, but I wasn't aware of as many because it wasn't in my radar. And then I met this young lady, SMonique. I still call her SMonique. We'll get into that story another moment. But I met SMonique, and the first thing she did after she told me her story was explain to me how hugging people is almost like disrespectful. I'm invading people's space. And I was like, what? And she was like, well, everyone don't want to be hugged. And I was like, well, they all hug me then. So she was like, well, you should go up and ask them, may you hug them? And I was
so you were just walking to people and just hugging them?
I was just, as we did. And I noticed since Monique basically taught me the correct way, or the what's the word I want to say? The etiquette of hugging people.
So you were a disrespectful hugger.
I was a disrespectful hugger. So I noticed how much people just walk up and hug people without permission. Or even men. Hey, what's up? It's not because
we don't grab somebody's arm and force them to shake our hand. We extend our hand and they
since I learned the etiquette of hugging, I also watch how men do it also.
Okay.
And I asked men, how do you feel about people just shaking your hand? And I really had a couple of guys like, I really don't like it, but I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to pull away as they shaking my hand.
But see, some people, I've extended my hand to people that I guess they have a problem with me. And they just look at it.
Exactly.
Right? So that's not, nobody can force you to shake their hand.
Right. And I don't force them to hug.
Yeah, but you can force them.
But you do walk up to people and say, hey.
Yeah.
That's basically forcing them to hug, because unless they are being nasty towards you, they're going to be like, no. And we had people say no.
Definitely. Right. Definitely. So that's how y'all met.
Well, that's not how we met, but that's how I started noticing children being missing, listening to her story.
So the hug conversation was completely irrelevant to the what you say.
Yes.
Gotcha. Let's make sure we're clear.
Because you asked me. You asked me, how did I get into missing kids?
You're a good promoter. You're going to find a way to talk about hugging.
That's how I started with the kids, with the hugging. That's exactly how we did it, right?
And how does the topic of missing children, touch you?
It touches me deeply. Like, as I shared in the introduction, that I discovered at the assumed age of 28 that I was a missing child. And it was just an unbelievable story. No one would listen to me, and I just kept fighting. I would go across the country with missing person flyers of myself. But the goal is that I saw the horrific abuse that I was going through, that I had gone through as a child and even into my adulthood. And, just knowing that people were going to continue going through that was something I just felt that I had to grab hold of to. So as I was searching for my true identity, I was building relationships with agencies. The National Services for the Children, Black and Missing, the Maryland State Human Trafficking Task Force. All of these were agencies that I utilized for myself. I learned so much about what they did and how they serviced the community. So it made my walk better. So running into Val Jenkins was a beautiful thing, because I think we were coming off on how do we build a better Baltimore? How do we unite our communities? How do we bring love back? And that was one of my missions, to make sure I love myself first, because I knew the lack of love that I got. And the hug deal is definitely did that. But when we were out, kids would see and they'd say, "Oh, hug," it read across the shirt, they would embrace. And I just said, we're teaching the children the wrong message. We're letting them know that their comfort zones can be breached. And people take advantage of that. So then having a conversation with Val, I love the fact that not only did she embrace the concept, she wholeheartedly implemented it into her entire program. So now when she approaches your little kids and when she does her training sessions with the new people that enrolled in the membership of Hug Zone, she'll say to them, get permission from the parents. Ask your mother before can you hug me? Or she'll look at the parents and say, hey, I would love to hug your daughter. Is it okay? So you're teaching them something the same process while you're giving them love. And that's what's happening with our kids. Our kids are feeling so comfortable with teachers and coaches and mentors that, that one touch, you reach their comfort zone. And to them, it's okay. And then until someone goes too far.
But it's not okay.
And it's not okay. It's really, really not okay.
And they didn't have permission.
Right.
So now, before we give people hugs, we say, may I? And that's another thing we got out of the habit of, looking people in the eyes and talking to them. May I have a hug?
Right.
So
that's a big part of what we do, is just to remind people that, get permission, get authorization, make the other person feel comfortable, to breach that comfort zone.
Right.
That's a point I would thought about. And now?
So for me, it touched me because I am a mother of a 12-year-old, soon to be 13. And I also have a 30-year-old who was 12 at some point. And although they're 17 years apart, what I realize is the generations are different, but yet similar. When my soon to be 30-year-old was 12, it wasn't the same. I think it was called MySpace back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that was like their social media. And she was into Tinkerbell, and she loved Disney painted all over her walls. At 13, she still watched Tinkerbell. She was a Tinkerbell fan.
She was a real 13.
She was a real 13-year-old. However, she was, as much as her dad and I were involved in being in her life and making sure that she did things that a normal 13-year-old would do. She got good grades. She was yet violated by someone who we trusted, and they took advantage of her trust. And so just saying all that, this situation touched me because not only did I deal with that almost years ago with my oldest daughter, now I have a 12-year-old who's coming up in this generation who now there's Facebook, Instagram,
Twitter, chat.
About 20 other ones we don't know about.
TikTok.
It's more dangerous.
Yes. And she is a cheerleader. And she's very athletic build, and I'm rather hard on her because of what I've experienced with my oldest, but I also just learned some things as a mother over the years where I just know as a parent, you have to be involved. Cell phones are everything in this generation.
Yeah.
My 12-year-old doesn't breathe without her cell phone until I say it's enough. Put it down. And if you don't take it, they're just constantly going. And then there's all these group chats, and you don't know where some of the friends come from the different walks of life. She goes to Catholic school. She goes to the New Mother Mary Lane. You know that they have lotteries in Catholic schools, and you guys know that the lotteries bring in, it gives families from less fortunate situations an opportunity to have the same education. So everybody comes from different walks of lives, and you just don't know some people's background. And with that being said, she's exposed to a lot. So I have to invade her privacy.
Right.
That means your door can be closed, but I'm walking in. I'm not knocking.
No wrong with that.
I pick up her cell phone. I control her text messages. I can go right here, right now, and tell you she's at Ruth Chris with my niece, and I can tell you who she's texting right now. She has TikTok. I follow her. I have her access. She is not allowed to post. She follows me, and she looks at things, but I have a parental guidance on it, where there are certain things that can't come across her feed because there are people that are just not
nice.
Yes.
Not trustworthy. Is she? How does she receive your very caring approach to her extracurricular activities and stuff?
She doesn't really, and y'all hear my voice cracking because I feel like I'm going to cry, right?
It's okay. Go ahead. We're here to hug you.
She doesn't really like it, but the parents that she has, her father is no. He's a no guy. Go to school,
Right.
share. You could do a little something here and there, and you don't really need to run the streets because that's just his way of protecting the children that came up in our household. Our kids didn't stay over people's houses. And I've been that way due to what my first daughter experienced, but we'd rather all the kids be at my house because I know where my kids are, if that makes sense, right? So she doesn't really do well with me invading her space, but she understands that if you do what you're supposed to do, you can do what you want to do. That makes sense.
Yes.
So I wanted to touch on what Nell was sharing, which is a powerful thing, is the bonding, constant relationship that she has with her daughter. The open levels of communication, which is key. You have to have those talks. You have to have those straight talks and uncomfortable talks all the time because you're building that trust, and she knows. She knows that her care and well-being is most important. Being an advocate for missing, knowing about the dark web. We know about apps, but we really don't know how bad the dark web is, which is really, really growing at an alarming rate. So they can hack through these accounts. You have so many safeguards and safety nets. And I wanted to make sure that we share this. When someone goes missing, especially a child, the first thing someone says, oh, where's the mother? Where's the father?
Parents?
And right all along, just like with Nell and the other young lady, they were right there. They were doing all the things that they could possibly do with the restrictions, the new apps, the trackers. Kids will find a way to give the phone to someone else and get another phone and go to school and use the laptop. They will find a way. But still, you did all of the things that you needed to do to protect your family and your daughter. So I always want to make sure I throw that out there when people are working with their young adults. They definitely have the apps. They have the programs. They have the trackers. I mean, we're at the stage now where I think other countries are injecting locates inside the GPS, inside the body. Right.
So
just under the hair. Yeah.
Right. Just under the skin.
Right.
Or they have the tags that they put in the
hair.
Right. And I really, it's weird that they put that on television because, you are a predator. First thing you're going to do is
check
the child.
Right.
Check the child hair. So that's really important, everything that you do. So I definitely commend you as a mom for doing that. And then letting her know you can be upset with me, but I'm looking out for you.
Right. And you'll understand later on in life, because you might not understand right now. And I say it all the time. Unfortunately, regardless if you are a good mom or not so good of a mom, you just don't know how these children is going to grow up or how they're going to take it. Because I'm in a situation where I wish that my mother was a little tighter with me. You get what I'm saying? When the other children was like, oh, my mother is too tight with me. So no matter how you look at it, you might not make these kids happy. And we can only pray that when they grow up, they will understand and respect our wishes and what we want in life for them as a child. The saying is, we heard our grandparents and their parents saying, well, when I went to school, we did this. And they were saying the same thing. Back in my day, we were saying the same thing. And they don't want to hear it just like we didn't want to hear it. But unfortunately, they said, oh, it's bad out here. You got to be in the house by the time the lights come on. You know, we saying that too, but we didn't want to hear it, and they don't want to hear it.
We didn't want to hear it, but we did it. And
we did it. We didn't have any other choice.
Those were the rules.
Right.
And
they're overly exposed to stuff.
Yes.
So that's something else.
Much more than we were.
Right. Way much more. So that, it's giving them that extra urge to want to participate in things. We had things. We had, beer and marijuana, a little liquor, a little mini. But now you have fentanyl, you have opiates, you have mushrooms, you have the CBD, you have it's a whole smorgasbord of activities that you can get into that's not good for you. The peer pressure to me is on steroids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's on steroids.
Now tell me this. So on social media, I'm on social media very heavy, and oftentimes we'll see folks share flyers or pictures of a child that may be missing. Right? What is if we can run down some of the steps that a parent or loved one would take if their child was missing? Like, what would they do?
Oh, but I'm looking at me. So just I do this 24 hours a day, basically. The first step is the process of elimination. You don't want to panic. Take a moment, just like you just shared, that check her phone, make sure she's still at the location. Is that where she is? Make the phone call. Call any of the relatives that they were speaking to, or if they were in the after-school program. Just kind of like take that moment to go and do that process of elimination. Time is of the essence. So if that's not satisfying to you, it's not the normal activity. If it's the normal activity, they stop at the store. If it's the normal activity that they stop at the basketball court, if that's normal. But it's what's unfamiliar. It's not their regular pattern. In Baltimore City, in the state of Maryland, the first thing you do is call the police. And people, I ain't got time for the police. They don't do anything. That's not true. Call the police. We have done so much in the last 5 to 10 years in the state of Maryland to get some resources going, especially in Baltimore City. And I'm saying it because we're all in Baltimore City.
Right.
But call the police. And if the police do not come, you can go right to the precinct and they will take it at the front desk. Because, the whole country, we have a shortage of officers. So it is okay to be frustrated. Oh, they didn't come. Go to them.
So you're talking about literally 911.
And literally 911. And if they do not come, go to the precinct, the local precinct. The third option is that Sister Freddie Gray. A lot of the consent decree processes happen. Everyone's involved. Just trying to tighten down on anything again to build a better Baltimore. We now have an option to do a police report on the website. So it's baltimorepolice.org. It says file report. The reason why I say those three things because you have to have a missing persons report number to get the flyer, and you really want the flyer through an organization. And organizations like the National Center Missing for the Children, Black and Missing, the Aware Foundation. Those three will take pictures and they'll put all of the stats, age, complexion, height, community, what were they last seen wearing, what were they last seen going. That's key. I know a lot of people will get photos with the kids doing the peace signs, the gang signs. You can barely see. Work with those agencies. The reason why you want to work with those agencies is because that information with that police report number, it goes right into NCIC, and that's the National Crime Information Center. Kids can go missing in your city, out of your state, within an hour or so. And that number actually will track them and get assistance from each and every one of the states.
Also, the hotels.
The hotel's a little bit different. The hotel, thank you for bringing that up. Mostly most of the hotels are focusing on human trafficking. We do know a large population of children, teens who run away, are trafficked, they're groomed into trafficking. So yes, the hotels do have hotline numbers. The state of Maryland would do a whole hospitality program and they actually have numbers, in the bathroom, on the elevators, in the corridors. Training is supposed to happen still annually, at all of the hotels and some of the newer restaurants. So people are really
and airport.
And let me just chime in with the airport.
Yes.
This is another thing as far as being a mom in this generation with a 12-year-old getting ready to be 13, and she cheers. So we travel, and I'm really real with Madison. And when I say that is I allow her to watch your video. So she now knows who you are. She knows, Miss Val, she thinks that Miss Val is crazy. But I let her watch the live.
Right.
And I let her watch the live because I wanted her to see that you come in my room and I'm a fan of Law and Order Special Victim Unit, right?
Right.
Chicago PD, a fan of it. And you see me watching this, but I want you to see this. And you know who Miss Val is to know that this is real. So that means that this is somebody right underneath our nose, and it can be you. And I was glad that I was able to expose her to that because we were on a cheer competition and we were coming through the airport and we were in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I mean, biggest day as we're walking from one terminal to the next, they are telling you, keep your kids close.
Right. This
is a hot area in trafficking. And when you go in the bathroom, they are, as soon as you walk in, the recording is going off. And it's the different facial expressions that they tell you to make to a staff member to let you, if you're being trafficked. And if you,
like some nonverbal.
Yes.
Or when you call a pizza,
Yes.
or you call the police, you say, I want a pizza.
Yeah, it was so many things. When you go in the stall, on the back of the door, when you close it, it was just step by step.
How many times I send you that? Every
Of
time I go to another
things
video state.
If you are being held against your will, make this face, say this, and go to the first person you can see with an airport badge. Or it was just, I was blown. And when I came out the bathroom, I went to Madison. She was sitting with her dad, and I went and got her and took her back in there. And I said, this is why your dad tells you, as soon as you leave that mat from competing, that you are to go change your clothes and put the warm up on. He immediately makes her change because you just never know.
Absolutely.
Who's there,
Who's watching?
And who's watching?
What? Yes.
It's very alarming to see families go to restaurants and still let a 5 and 6 year old
Go to the bathroom. Right.
It's very alarming for me to be in a movie theater and, parents are there watching the movie and an 11-year-old has to get up and go to the bathroom and neither of the parents get up, even in this day and time. So it's really, really, it's hitting home. People are getting it, but until it actually hits your family, it's a struggle to get people to switch the mindset. I do not wish ever, when I'm telling my stories, sharing tips, for people to live in fear. You don't want to think, oh, we got some good snacks, we're going to get abducted. That's not the goal. The goal is what Nell was talking about, is to educate, protect, to prevent, which is really, really
Remember that.
educate, protect, and to prevent.
So I have a hair client, and he's a teenager. He, a boy, of course, and he and I had this conversation that's so deep that I have to text his mother and say, may I have this conversation with your child? And she know that we have these conversations because he's more open with me, and why he feel that comfortable with me.
Young.
Yes, he's
Mentor.
14.
Okay.
Right. And we have deep conversations. But like I tell his mother, he said he feel like he's in prison in his own home. But like I shared with his mother, you have to be protective but you cannot make them prisoners, because that's going to give them a sense of fear to do anything. And not only that, the opposite is going to make them go out and do stuff. It's going to make them want to run away, because you got to let them go a little bit. You got to teach them trust. But in the same token, you got to teach them not to trust so much. So with anything in life, you got to have a balance. You have to have a balance, especially with this day of age. Like, your child's the only one not in school. Your child's the only one in school without a cell phone. Some people are like, well, so what? They're going to be safe. That don't mean nothing, because guess what? I'm going to get her phone. And I'm going to do different things on her phone, because my mother is not going to check her phone. And I already know her mother don't check her phone.
And kids think like that.
Exactly. So you got to have a balance.
That's for the communication.
Yep.
Let's get back to the missing part. That was really alarming to me when I said get that number. And the only reason why I mentioned that NCIC number, because it goes national, is people don't realize within 2 hours of a child being missing, within 2 hours, they're usually physically abused, mentally abused. Within that same 2 hours, they could be emotionally abused. They could be sexually abused. Within that same 2 hours, they could be out of the state. We're right here on the corridors. In the DMV, you could be across the country within 2 hours. Unfortunately, within those same 2 hours, somebody could die. They could be murdered. This is why it's important when you say what to do, what steps are they to take when a loved one goes missing. Now, I've registered quite a few. We have Felicia Barnes Law. And when she passed away with that unfortunate incident, her family got together, got some activists together, and we now have a missing persons law in Maryland. That's why it's instant, because of that young lady.
Wow.
It's not wait. This is not television.
Not 24 hours anymore.
It's instant, and that's the kind of response that you want to have. The last couple of families that I work with, that was the first thing I said. I can't even have a conversation with you. We have to call law enforcement, because they're going to get you all of the resources that you possibly know. And I share that information with them. I mean, it's almost like I've gone through the phone to get to them to share that information.
Wow.
And that's key. 2 hours is
2 hours.
2 hours left.
I mean, and you're right. You can't get, if you want to get out the city, out the state, you can
You out,
quick. Yeah.
So someone made a post. Someone on my page timeline made a post and said, "Well, all these missing children, I think that y'all need to do a fact check. Fact check is good, but guess what? I'm going to post first." And guess if that child is already found, then we're going to delete it. Because by the time I do a fact check, I can post that and you can see it and say, I just saw her at McDonald's. You get what I'm saying? So we're going to fact check it later.
So when a person said that to you, I wonder what their mindset was. So it's not like it's the debate and Donald Trump is on TV lying and you're doing a fact check. This is literally a life and death type of thing. Well, I wonder why they.
Some people just say,
but you know what the thing is so many kids missing now.
Yes.
And I cannot believe how many people, especially the ones I personally know with teenagers, who was like, oh, these kids out here having sex. So what? Until I find out that they out here doing something they ain't supposed to do, I'm going to do my part and I'm going to share that they missing. Yeah. I'm going to do my part. It could have been your child. It could have been my child. Guess what? It was me. You get what I'm saying? I wasn't stolen, but I was snatched up in somebody's house and raped. So it happened to me. But in the same token, it took me back. It took me back to my childhood. Anything can happen.
So these things can be triggering for you?
Almost definitely is triggering for me. Sometimes it's not. But this one right here, and someone asked me, why were you so much on this one with all the missing cases? You don't know what's going to trigger you. You never know what's going to trigger you. In that situation, I was triggered. And I had to step back. I had to say woosah. But in the same token, I was going out there. People say, oh, she just ran away. Until I find out she ran away. And not only that, I respect the fact that in the last situation, and I'm not going to bring up any names or anything, but in the last situation, I 100% respect that the family members, the parents said, we want the community to help us. SMonique and I have been in situations where people's like, well, mind your business and we don't want y'all help and whatever. You get what I'm saying? These parents did everything that they supposed to do in my eyesight. They asked for our help. They was appreciative of our help. They asked for the community. They praised us as an organization. So that made me want to help them even more. And I am honored to say that even not before, but during and after, the family, one or the other, still reached out to me. They told me when she was found. They came straight from the parents that they was found. We all know that it was a post that came out first the day before she was found to say she was found, but she wasn't. And the parents was like, no, this is not true. But when she was found, they personally called me, not text me. They called me and say she is found. They personally told me the steps. Not everything yet, because everything is under investigation. But that made my stress and my struggles of going out there, leaving work early and changing my hair clients and all that, it made it worth it. Just a simple thanks. We all know thanks is just a word. But it meant so much that her parents literally reached out to us and said thanks. He made a post and said, he named each one of the organizations that was out there. That means so much, because people don't understand how much SMonique and I is out there together. When we was the senior citizen, and I'm not going to mention who mother it is, senior alert. We were out there, it was a whole thunderstorm. We was out there in cars, riding all over Pikesville to North Avenue, looking for this lady that we never seen before.
And what Val was talking about,
you was out there too.
Listen, so we did get a lot of questions, and I want to make sure that we share this on your segment. Is that when someone says, "How come we didn't get an Amber Alert?" There was no Amber Alert. Please know the criteria. The Amber Alert is the age-old, one of the first alerts when it comes to child abduction and missing children. And if there's no vehicle involved, there will not be an Amber Alert. I mean, it would have to be right. It would have to be some strange, odd reason, but 9 out of 10 times, if a vehicle is not involved, there will not be an Amber Alert. The other Amber Alert is, of course, the Silver Alert that Val just mentioned. Here in Maryland, it's either 55 but mostly 60 years of age. Now, coming up in October, we just have new alerts called Purple. The Purple Alert is for the families who maybe have somebody with a brain condition, mental health, definitely mental health, definitely, I can't even get it, Alzheimer's, what's the one with the children? Autism. Thank you. Couldn't get them all because all the A's were coming out at the same time. So again, I want to applaud Maryland. Every year the General Assembly goes out. I sign up for the Maryland leaders legislation, and we go and look at some of the laws that are out there. We either tighten some of the ones that we have. We lobby and campaign for new ones, and all of these are holding these people accountable for their actions. That is key. We literally 2 years ago had the child marriage law. You could actually bring a child, which is trafficking, from Texas to Maryland if she was child at the age of 14 or 15. He could be 45, he could be 50. Yep. It did not matter. But because of what the community did, coming together, lobbying, campaigning, going on Annapolis, talking to our leaders, the power of the pen, and Westmore, unfortunately, I'm so just excited.
We was furious that they weren't. We were furious.
It made a difference. So now you cannot marry a child in the state of Maryland with a 4-year gap. It has to be a 4. So that's the 4-year gap. Yeah. That's one of the rules of the 4-year gap.
Okay. Well, that is good, and of course, we are here having a very important discussion on missing children. I just want to take a quick break, and I'm going to come back, and I want to ask, what should someone do if they see a child who has been reported missing? So we're going to do that, and right after this, stay tuned.
Baltimore, 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 Baltimore. August the 3rd. Have you heard? The entire city is buzzing about the citywide all-white affair. That's right, and it's going down at the hall located inside Merlin Live. Baltimore, this party is going to be lit. You come up from 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. You can eat, drink, dance, or gamble. We're going to shut the city down. This is one of the biggest and luxurious venues that you will ever want to party in. And it's not just going to be a movie. It's going to be live at Merlin Live. Tickets right now are $60 in advance and more at the door. Tables, seating 10 people at $600. Not only that, we also got a VIP ticket. The VIP ticket is $160, and that comes with special seating as well as free food and 2 hours of top shelf open bar. Ticket locations, Eventbrite. Or you can visit M&K Music Warehouse located in Sky Security Square Mall right across from Cinnabon. Or you can go to Silver Star Restaurant located at 801 Bonaparte Avenue. Or you can call me, the legendary DJ Terry T, 443-953-1966 to get your tickets. And if you need a ride there and back, we have a party bus. That's right. Baltimore, if you need to ride, call me right now, and I'm going to set you up with the party bus. A portion of the proceeds will go back into the community to help serve the underserved community. That's right, we're talking about the homeless people and underprivileged kids and more.
You got to be there! ONFIRE-TV is a streaming network for a generation on the move.
And we are back. Of course, yours truly, Dominic K, in here on Fire TV. And I have some special guests in the building. We're having a very important conversation and discussion on missing children. And before we went to the break, I put out there that my question to the panel is, what should someone do if they see a child who has been reported missing? What steps or what should they do?
Well, I usually look at.
Go ahead and then I'll.
Like I've seen this person pictures shared, and I see the kid.
So I do mommies and me, muffins and moms, or donuts and dads. I go to daycare centers, and I always talk to parents in the community. And it's just really key to. It's 3 easy steps. There's 3. I did 4, but it's 3 easy steps. Identify those details, because again, you already recognize that person from the flyer.
Right.
So you want to capture, even if that snapshot, you got my jeans, orange shirt, logo, and a hat. That's the first thing you do. You really don't want to get into that mode of trying to go snatch the person and rescue them. You don't know they're going to attack you, rebel against you. You don't know if they're already in harm's way. Maybe they're being watched from a vehicle, watched from another location. So the first thing that you do is you identify the detail. Memorize those descriptions. It's really hard. Because you're like in shock, you're like, oh my God, this is the one. If they're in a vehicle, follow behind them. You don't have to be known. Cut your phone on, cut your camera on, take a photo. Try to take a picture to make sure that that's somebody that can identify. So identify the details, memorize that description, and emergency contact. Can't forget 911. It's universal. Call 911 and say, hello, there's a missing young boy. I just noticed him at the corner of, he's wearing green pants. Because they're going to record that call.
Yeah.
So while you memorizing it and calling it right away, it kind of remove you. What you do not want to do is do not freeze up. People will not help in fear. They're frightened. They don't know how to respond. They freeze. They'll wait till they get home and say something. No. You're supposed to see something. Save someone. Yep. You want to save the individual. We've been inundated with so much knowledge, so many stats and statistics and information and stories. At this stage, see something, say something right away. Save that individual. Those are the 3 steps, is to identify the detail, memorize the descriptions, and do the emergency contact right there.
Right, which is calling law enforcement and following.
Don't be a vigilante and trying to jump on them, get them in the chokehold. Again, it has happened. I've seen some incidences where a parent definitely went completely.
Because, and it's like, I'm sure that, so many folks are on social media.
Yes.
And so the media reports, it's missing alerts, it's flyers,
Yes.
and they may see somebody that they recognize, or maybe they knew the person that was missing. And so I'm glad that you were able to share those steps, and people can remember that. And so, Val, you had something.
Yes, I want to segue off of what you just said. A recent incident, I seen a post that says they saw her, and I say, "What you mean?" I didn't know what that could have been anything, but
This was the post.
That was the post. They saw her.
Okay.
So I'm like, "What you mean they saw her?"
The singer.
So
You're talking about the singer.
Right, exactly. So I go to the girl's inbox and I was like, "What do you mean?" I called her, I videotaped her, which is a disrespect. But guess what? It's emergency right now. And I need to know what you mean by they saw her. She sent me a voice message and I was like, "Call me. This voice message is not working." I'm glad she did the voice message because it wasn't I said to her and I missed out something. So I was able to forward the voice message to the missing person's parents. So I said, "What did you see?" I say, so she was telling me everything that happened. I said, "You know what? Stop the conversation, because by this time we could have had the police. Did you call the police? Did you do this?" So she left the voice message again. I sent it to her. I called the father. "Can she call you?" Da, 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 da. This person, this lady, she went and tried to take the steps. People were saying, "Go home to the missing child, right? Go home, go home." I said, "Did anybody call the police?" She said, "I was in a rush, so I couldn't call the police." She didn't know what kind of car, but she told me the color and what she thought it was. Right. She didn't know the tag number. She said she went up to the car. She looked in it. She said a female owned this car because I could tell what was inside of it. Her information, basically, I don't want to say too much because things are still under investigation, but baby,
it was helpful.
Baby, thank you, because your tip might have been the tip that saved this baby. And again, I don't want to say too much because it is still under investigation, but that's what we need. We need you to see something, do something, save someone, the whole 9 yards. Call 911. Talk to them while you're driving. Tell them I couldn't stay on the scene, but this is what I saw. She said it was a lot of people out there. Not one person called the police. They basically tried to take things in their own matter and tell this person to go home. Or if this person stolen or kidnapped or even ran away, you're saying go home ain't going to make this baby go home. So call the police. Take a picture. Take a video. We usually, if there's a fight outside, we take a picture or a video. So I want to thank her right now, and I'm going to send this video to her. Another person who just came on in and sent a message said that her son was stolen twice. Not once, but twice. But because, kidnapped, I should say, because it happened more than one time, the police didn't look at it as a kidnapping. They looked at it as a runaway. Yeah. Unfortunately, while he was away, he was exposed to drugs. And unfortunately, he's no longer here because of this situation. So when y'all see these videos, sorry, Dom, you have a plug because my phone won't do. When y'all see these videos, or these missing people posts, don't laugh about it. I don't care if it's a runaway or not. Keep it going. You never know the situation. Your post might be the post to save someone. This is not funny. This is people are being killed, murdered. It's not funny. They're being raped. Keep it going. Keep sharing these posts no matter what the situation is.
Nah, you want some?
So, again, I was just basically saying that people were like, "Oh, now, some of the ladies promoter, where did this tie in at?" But I've done things in the community with Val. She'll reach out to me. The Brooklyn tragedy.
And shout out to today is her day. Yes, today is her day.
Last year, she reached out to me. Just different community things, whether it's giving to the children or families for Christmas, turkeys for Thanksgiving. We kind of partner with her. Don't shoot. However, this is a little different for me because it just touched me as a mom of the 12-year-old preteen, right? So seeing the different posts and the different comments, I mean, I literally was in tears because my fear is the manipulation that these children are exposed to, whether it's the money, the materialistic, the drugs, all this. They're exposed to so much. My daughter, and I know it's probably a curse, she is a designer queen. And it's my fault. I know that. Not a good thing, because it's a tool of manipulation that someone could use to come in and wheel her in. So because I know that, I kind of like stay on top of it to try to not allow her to want for anything. To just be open. I teach her about allowance. I teach her how to money manage. She has her own card, so she knows, how to spend the money off of her little Visa and things like that. So that
you don't want that to be something they can use to manipulate.
Something that they can use.
But don't beat yourself up about it, because it could be the manipulation point could be if it was, I don't know, comic book or any. It could be anything. It's just whatever that child likes, it would be that. So if it wasn't designer, it could be something else that they could use as a tool. So don't beat yourself up just because you like nice things and your daughter likes nice things. Right?
Don't take away from you as a parent.
Definitely.
Because in the same token, the way this world is, you could give her all the Louis Vuittons in the world and she is crying because you didn't give her the tight enough hug.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I teach her that it's okay to say I love you.
Yeah.
I teach her that it's okay to be emotional, show your affection, tell me what you feel. I teach her that because people say I'm a crybaby, but I just learned through a lot of things that I've been through that it is okay to say I'm not okay, right? And I want her to know that strength comes from your trials and your tribulations. Right. So you can cry and you can need this and feel like you're hurt, but I'm going to pick you back up. I'm going to use an example. She wanted to go to a birthday party and she was getting her hair done. And unfortunately, she was getting braids, and it took from 8 o'clock that morning to 4 o'clock p.m. And she was not able to make the pool party, and she didn't make the count. And the little girl called her and told her that, as she must have been texting her saying, my mom's getting ready to bring me. She said, unfortunately, they're not letting anybody else in. And so she came in, she said, Ma, I can't go. I'm just going to give her the gift card and stuff when, I see her at cheer practice. And I said, okay, Madison. But I could hear
in her voice
that she was crushed. So I let her have her moment. And I say, okay, let me figure out how to approach this. Because, the first thing as they protect our understand, you understand? But I had to realize that was just what she wanted. And she was just really hurt, right? So I went in there. I said, are you okay? She was like, oh, I'm fine. I'm good. But I knew she wasn't. So I said, Madison, it's okay to be hurt. But just take this as an example of you may not be able to do everything.
Absolutely.
And it's okay if you don't get included or you make the list, because something could have happened. You could have been that child to go there and slip and fall in the pool and you be in a coma tonight. God just saved you from something. And that's how I want you to do this. Everything happens for a reason. So I say that to say, ladies, thank you. Because I really didn't know where it would fit for me, because I'm thinking, well, Monique is the expert. And I know what I do with Val, but I agreed because I knew that I could be transparent as a mom. And dealing with a preteen, I'm planning a Sweet 13 right now. And it's so many I's that I'm dotting and T's that I'm crossing to make sure that it is what she wants, but it's age appropriate as well, right? And as I watch you guys go through this and work with the parents, it was so touching to me, because I knew that, wow, there's really people out here that really care about what happened to these young people. Because what happens when I'm not? Is there somebody that's going to be nurturing to my baby? when I'm not there. Although Broad and I try to give her everything, who's behind the scenes? Now, she has a 30-year-old, a 24-year-old, almost 20-year-old, and a 26-year-old as a sibling that she can reach out to. But in our household, she's the last of the Mohegans, and it's just us. And here we are, almost half of 100, raising a preteen. And I need help, right? And I give right. It takes a village, and I give as much as I can. But watching you ladies let me know that it didn't matter why. It didn't, everybody's like, well, where's the parents? That's the first thing they say. Where's the parents? So what was the father doing? Where was the mother? Well, that she was in a broken household. None of that matters at that particular moment.
Right.
Because Madison isn't from a broken home. And it ain't the best either, right? But we co-parent well. It doesn't mean that she's not maybe lacking something, right? So I want to give her the exposure of knowing that if you are lacking that, you can come to me. And I want to know that there are people like you that can educate her. So that's why I needed her to see your video.
So I have three great things for your listening audience. It's so important that you are doing this segue about missing children and human trafficking. One, this communication right here, and it's not only for Nell and her daughter, it's for Nell, her daughter, her girlfriends, because every time she's speaking, she's talking to her network, her network and family. 100%. So it's actually gone out. That's first and foremost. Always talk to your kids. Even if they get frustrated, they get mad, you did your part. Yep. You're loving on them. You're letting them know that they're loved. Two, this is the new white van. You mentioned a lot about her potentially being talked to by someone else. It's grooming. They will groom them in their own homes, out of their homes, with this phone. Everyone thinking it's an old creepy van riding around in the community. Oh, yeah, they still exist. Yes. But this right here is the new dark web, or even some of the apps. You see grown people being catfished. Yes. You see grown men have been murdered because they sat up with someone to meet on one of these apps and their life was taken.
And many of those games.
So that's what's really, really key, to have that line of communication. And then do something as your solution today. When this segment is over, check your sex registry file. Google it. It's free information. I looked at my zip code. I have 34 registered offenders. Those are just the 34 that registered. There are other offenders that have yet to register. Right. So that 34 could potentially be 44. Then there are other people who have not been apprehended yet. Absolutely. So that 33 went to 44 could potentially be 55. That's free information that you can, and that's another conversation. Say, hey, I know you walk to school, or I know that you get off the bus. I just noticed in this registry you have 55 or potentially 55 sex offenders, for whatever reason. More conversation, more communication. Find out where is your precinct. A lot of people don't know. You can actually ask someone, what district, what's your precinct, where is it? They don't know where it is. They may know what district they're in. Where's the actual station? So right now, that is the prevention, because you're having that conversation. And let your kids know you can go missing. I'm going to confront you.
And what's funny? It's something that you shared with me when we first met, and I notice it all the time now. When you when you explain to someone that's missing, what did your child have on? Most parents can't even tell them.
Really?
They don't know. They in the bed sleep when that child walk out the house, or they was right there talking to them and have no idea. They have no idea what they have on. Like, I would have never known that Chanel had on diamond earrings and a striped shirt and a beige shoes. I wouldn't have paid all that attention. You get what I'm saying? Before I met SMonique. So it's the small things that you pay attention to. Your child got a tattoo, but where is it? You know that child got a tattoo. They got a tongue ring. They got a belly ring. But did they have it on when they left the house? You get what I'm saying?
And that's very important, because you could potentially be the last person to have seen
your child,
that individual before.
Let me tell you. Yeah, so right. So we're at a cheer competition, and we're in Vegas. In
that's a tricky place, yeah.
In this big arena, right? Mind you, I'm a big fan of Law and Order, right? So my mind is always like, where's my kid? Now, I just saw her compete, right? Cheering, yelling, and that split second, she had walked off with another cheer mom, right? No harm in it. It wasn't even a mom that we would not have normally known that she was with. It was just in that split second, her dad and I did not know where she was. I did not have the information that I have now, and I freaked out. And it was the longest 27 minutes.
27 minutes is a long time.
That's like a couple of days when you're trying to
life. The coaches were frantic. We have the staff and the police in the stadium. We are frantic. And all I kept thinking is, I remember shaking like, my baby is gone. Like, he's like, what do you mean? Why did you not see it? We were right there.
Right there.
And thank you, Jesus, that she was over in the other section, they eating snowballs and funnel cake. I had no idea that the stadium was in an uproar looking for this child. But that's just how swift their protocol was for the particular event it was. I didn't realize, just talking to the police, I couldn't tell them everything she had on. Yeah. I couldn't tell them the details. She looks like this little girl right here. This their uniform. You know?
And it makes a big difference. Perfect example, Easter, I was at the White House, and it was 20,000 people there. And because of the education that we learned together, remember that picture? It was a little boy missing. And he looked like, I don't want to judge him, but if I want to judge him, I would say he would have a little autism going on, right? So I walked up to him and said, "Are you okay?" And he bust out crying. And I said, "Where's your parents?" And he said, "I don't know." And he knew that his siblings had on, I'm making stuff up right now, he knew his sibling had on a yellow coat. And he knew that his grandmother had curly white hair. But that's all he could tell us. And this little boy was at least 10 years old. He was too old to not know his grandparents' name or whatever. So that's why I was thinking something's wrong with him.
Right.
But because of the education that we learned together, I knew that the young lady I was at the White House with, you stay right here. We're going to get a security guard, and we're going to find this parent because of the little description that he gave us. And guess what? The top security guard came over there. They found us. They said they heard us all over the White House lawn trying to locate this. They gave us our praise, of course, because they was Secret Service and we couldn't show their faces, but they did the high five and we all did the handshake. It's on my profile picture today. And the first thing I said is, "SMonique." Remember I sent you the pictures. So just this education, this platform that we are on today, and hopefully we have more, that we will be able to see something, say something, save someone.
The spinoff with that is that even in today's time, I don't care if you're a guy dating a male, if you're a woman dating a man, if you're out shopping with your daughter, meet up points. Yes. If you're tired and you sit down and y'all think you walking and you didn't went into Macy's or you didn't went to Nordstrom's or whatever, and you sit down because you're tired, remember, what is the meetup point? We're going to meet back at. Don't think of like where the car was parked. No, what is the meetup point?
I love that.
That's still things that were old school back in the day. It's actually still working, especially with small children. What is the secret code? If you see somebody, what is it? Oh, you can get in the car because my mom told, I can pick you up and bring you home from school. No, what's the passcode? What's the secret code? Mine was long. I can say it now because all my kids are grown. That's
good information.
My best friend came to me and said, "Are you upset with me? I want to go pick up." And they wouldn't get in the car. And I go, "Oh, of course not."
Because you don't have the code. But you know what? Even in the White House situation, when I post on my page, where was the parent at? How you going to lose your child? Guess what? As an As an adult, you and I going to the store, like you said, I could stop and look in the mirror on the window or something, and you kept walking, and I'm looking around like, right. Even as an adult, you can get lost. So could you imagine a child's young mind? They're not going to know what they're doing. They're going to panic. They're going to freeze. They're going to bust out crying. So social media, stop being so hard, because parents are doing their best. They are doing their best. Yes, we have some parents that need some training or whatever. But guess what? Maybe if you shared this post, that parent that just didn't know. They just didn't. I didn't know when my child was younger.
They were over on the other side of the White House acting like now. They were acting like now when we went to the White House.
I'm just tell you, I'm being real. I couldn't think straight. He said what she had on. Sir, she looked like this little girl right here.
Did she find y'all, or did y'all find her?
We ended up eventually finding her because, well, they did, because I was over
in
here.
The corner.
And her dad just said, like, you stay right here and you don't get lost, because
you don't get lost here.
Right, because I had completely lost it. I panicked. And there was whispers of, where was her mother? It was that, but it was just a split second that she had walked up. We was in Disney. She was 3 years old. And she was just learning how to walk. And we letting her siblings get on rides. And we turned around, like, oh, where did they go? And looked over there, and the lady that came over saying, "This your little baby." That quick.
Just that quick.
We have to be more vigilant in our mindset. It's a whole nother game. It's a playing field is totally different. You just got to be focused. You go to the car, you got to have your pocketbook inside, you got to have your keys already ready.
You do better when you know that.
Yes, even with your children. There are people so bold that they will walk up with your child in your arms and snatch your child out of your arms. So again, you just got to play this mind game and walk through these patterns. Like, I literally, when I go to my house, I set my car for 2-3 minutes. Before I get out of the car, I look, make sure the light comes on. My key is already in my hand, and I time myself in, and I'm shutting the door. There's no, let me try to find my key.
Keep your head on the swivel. Keep your head on the swivel.
Or when you're with some, young adults, and don't let them get your attention. And then talk to them. Say, listen, we got 2 seconds. We got 2 seconds to get from here to get to there. The bathroom rule. You're in a restaurant. If you're in proximity to where the restaurant is, you got number one. You got to do number one and number two. We need 1 minute to do number one. We need 2 minutes. You're not. I'm taking the door. That's the conversation you got to have. They're not going to be in there falling with a toilet tissue or you're running the water. Right. Mom said 2 minutes. If she come in here, that's not.
Yeah, but I don't even allow medicine to do in the public setting. Airports. We don't do the.
But I'm trying to. I'm trying to. You got to be a brand new advocate. We have got to be the new individual who's going to do a little bit different. If not, we're going to fall right back into that trap again of how did that happen.
And you got to keep it real with your children. You have to say, this is what happened to me. And the reason why I just brought that up is we're here today because of SMonique, not because of her gumshoe, not because of Diamond, not because of Chanel, but because of SMonique. And on top of that, we know above who sent her there, because it was funny how SMonique and I met. Somebody tagged me on social media, and I was like, I think they tagged me to tag you. You was looking for a nonprofit. They tagged me, and I was like, I don't know her. And she was like, this is not the person or whatever. So we left there, and we went to Primrose. What was it? What's the hall in Primrose? It was Angie Wandy.
Oh, you're right. It was Angie. Right. You're right.
And I walked in there, and she was like, I just met you. I was like, you ain't meet me. I just left first. And she said, no, I just met you. And she says, you told me the situation. I was like, yeah. So she instantly went into what she, who she was or whatever. And I was like, yeah. I instantly read her book. Shout out to her. Let's promote this book. I Am the Ancestor. Baby, buy one for you, your sister, your cousin. Please don't buy one and then share it. Buy one because, first of all, she owed me a trip to Greece. Because when I went to Greece, my whole time was about this book. I cried. I laughed. I cried more. I shared little segues with the people that I didn't even know about. Listen, I commend you because all that you've been through, and y'all all know my story, but all you've been through, and you took what you went through and your trauma and your trials and your tribulation to be able to save how many kids, we can't even count how many children you saved because of what you went through. You were strong enough to hold your tears and still give them a hug. You were strong enough to laugh. Y'all, wait a minute. And she jumped in the harbor. That's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that another day. Let's talk about the greatest other book. The book is amazing. Amazing. I am the ancestor.
It's the proceeds that comes from the book. So I'm over about $85,000 that we've donated to nonprofit organizations to help families and victims and search party efforts. So I'm very, like, the materials that I've been holding up this whole entire segment, the printed materials, when we go do workshops at the schools. Thank you. When we do the workshops at the school, we try to do $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to organizations who are going to continue some of the work that's being done. We do care packages for the police officers in the event that they get a young adult and they're hungry, waiting for a social worker, waiting for their parents. So I appreciate, yes, the books sales have been really, really phenomenal. So I'm grateful for that. We've won several awards over the years. I'm excited. We just got, I think, Governor, get mixed up. No, Governor Hogan actually had.
Don't get them mixed up.
So I was actually presented with the proclamation for Missing Children's Day. So the state of Maryland is actually now recognized, which is more funds that's going to help the agencies that we actually support. So thank you for mentioning the book, but really what the story behind it is that I was able to take that message and turn it into a movement and have my purpose being used for a way to save other people. Again, to educate, to protect. Yes.
And she's so humble. What movie can come up? What movie can come up? I'm listening.
They haven't given it a name yet.
Well, we know the story, though. A movie about to come up. Follow her.
The book is available now. I Am the Ancestor. Before I die, I must share my story.
Yeah.
You can get that on Amazon. We have it on the screen. And
thank you.
All good. So, Val, what do you have going on? How can people get involved with what you're doing?
Well, first you could go to Hug Don't Shoot, Facebook and Instagram. We became an umbrella to the community, and people always say, "Well, what Hug Don't Shoot got to do with missing children, and what does Hug Don't Shoot got to do with feeding the people?" We have become an umbrella because our mission, and I think it's the mission that made it so wide. So our mission is to bring a sense of peace to every community. And when I say every, I use it like every, because we don't just go out and help the black. I done spoken to Jewish synagogues, the Muslim mosques, everywhere. I even got called by the atheist that have a meeting and he needed a hug. So it's none of my business why people pray or don't pray or whatever, but we have become an umbrella to the community. If it takes bringing a sense of peace, we're going to bring a sense of peace. So what we have going on now, we are right now an organization. Perfect example, Ayana, what is her name? Oh my God, I forgot the baby name. The Brooklyn mass shooting. Today is her day, and I spoke to her mother. I feel so bad that I didn't have that on my calendar. So we were doing that. We just recently did college baskets. Shout out to my daughter. We did college baskets, and we took 15 baskets to college students. Surprised them because they didn't know we was coming. Wow. College students that's going to college this year. We took them baskets of all the dorm stuff, clocks and sheets and blankets and all that. Starting the Raven season, Hug Don't Shoot, we'll have our own concession stand at the Raven Stadium. So how that works is everyone at the stadium, including me, not the stadium, at my stand, including myself, will be volunteering. The money will go to the organization. And most of the venues are now doing it. It's like a win-win. Could you imagine how much money we save in the stadiums? But they're able to give the organization. So most of the stands down at the stadium, the Oreo Stadium, the arena is now doing that. So we need all the volunteers that we can get for the Raven Stadium this year. And you get free parking, and they'll shuttle you to the game. You get to eat for free. You get a free beverage. You get free beverages and food, whatever you want. Not adult beverages, don't push it. And you get to see the game. No, you cannot sit down and watch the game. But when it's slow, you can go and look at the game. The excitement of being there. So that last year we was able to do kids. We gave them on-the-job training. We gave them community service hours. But unfortunately, you have to be 18 and over this year because I knew that was going to stop. Them kids was serving people alcohol, and I knew that was going to stop. So anyway, we need all the volunteers we can. Yes, there's a lot of work, but look what you're getting out of it. You're able to, for us to come on platforms like this. Right. You know, you're able to feed the homeless and give these people baskets. August the 18th, Hug Don't Shoot. I have a meeting tomorrow. Hug Don't Shoot is having a back to school event. I don't want to say the professional basketball player that's flying in on August the 17th to do this event, but it's August the 18th. You can follow me on Hug Don't Shoot page and do that. So again, but
we are. Tell them it's not Michael Jordan.
It's not Michael Jordan. It's not Michael Jordan. So you can follow me on Hug Don't Shoot. And always remember this. The hug that you give just might be the hug that you need. And again, I tell people all the time, when I was a child, I needed a Val Jenkins. Because now that I'm adult, I became a Val Jenkins to so many people, different children. So watch what you say, watch what you do, because guess what? You might need that hug tomorrow.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Now, what's coming up?
Well, for me, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I don't really want to focus on the parties. People know who Sound Vision Ladies are.
Then some of them don't. Go ahead and say it.
You know, Sound Vision Ladies is, offspring from Sound Vision DJs. Of course, I'm a female party promoter. But it's more to it for me with the Sound Vision Ladies because I do things as, we come together and we find families for Christmas. We feed the homeless with Val. If Val needs me to participate in, like we did with the young lady for, in the Brooklyn shooting, unfortunately, I could not bring myself together to stand at her casket. However, whatever she needed, she knows that I was there. She can call me for this. It was an honor to be able to sit on this panel, to come on your show, Diamond K. Thank you for having me, Val. It's always a pleasure to talk to Val. I think she's crazy, but we have some really deep conversations because we have so much in common because of our hearts, and we love the community. And she knows that when she calls now, I'm going to be boots on the ground. So it's really not about Sound Vision today. It's just about, I'm grateful that they found the young lady healthy in no harm's way. I'm grateful to have been in Monique's presence. I've seen her at events, but I've never met her in this capacity, and it was a blessing because you gave me some tools to take back home being a mom of a preteen because, again, remember, I have almost a 30-year-old, which means that I had her at 16, right? And I had to grow up with her. So my parenting is different today than it was when she was 12. And although I was married and in the household, and she had a household with two parents, but I was young when she was growing up. She was turning 1. I was turning 17. And that meant we had to grow up together. So I'm trying to find my way and teach her.
Yeah.
But today she's successful. She's in school. She works for Southwest Airlines. And we've been through some things, but she's successful. She's respectful. And her story is her story to tell. But I can tell you that what she's been through, it's made her a strong woman. And the children that I've raised, even though I didn't birth them, a lot of people get that twisted, that parenting is more to just giving birth, right? Yep. When you love them and you groom them and you teach them, they are your children. And the children that came through my household, I can tell you that I gave them my all. I raised them. I tried to protect them to my best ability. And it's nothing, as they are all grown, with the exception of Madison, that they can't reach out to me and say, Nellie, Mom, I need, right? With that being said, again, I'm grateful to be on the panel. I learned some things. I hope I was able to share things, and I don't want to make it about Sound Vision because this is about parenting. This is about experience. This is about being transparent, and I just learned some things.
Right. I want to say something, and I know our time is getting short, but you say it's not about Sound Vision. It is. Because I tell people all the time, it's certain people that the world is going to listen to. And that's pastors and DJs and sports players and promoters. And guess what? DJs think they just making people dance. But you have people like myself who need to mentally get out on that dance floor to dance my pain away. So DJs is not just spinning music. They are getting people, even adults, off the streets and into a building where it's become safe. So you're not just a promoter. DJs, if you notice when something is serious about these missing children, the first people I tag before I tag a pastor is DJs, because DJ's voices is so big, and Diamond himself is a DJ and a promoter and all that stuff. You know, it's like Diamond do so much for the city behind the scenes that people just don't understand. DJs is huge. DJs don't give themselves respect as they should, because adults need a village also. Right. We need to get out. We have terrible days at work, and what we want to do is go to a happy hour. We don't want to go home to the children, but we don't want to take out a terrible day and take it out on the children. So don't ever say Sound Vision is just Sound Vision. It's not. It's bigger than that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. My sentiment was more of, I don't want to take it from what you taught me today.
Yeah.
Because people know who Sound Vision is, right?
That everyone don't.
You can give me, let's say for me, right? You can give me 800 tickets. I will sell them, right? So you know, if you put down with a party, she gonna hustle.
But look how many Sound Vision and DJs per se shared them flyers last week.
They did. I was just getting ready to go into that, but I can tell you that every part of the entity shared, and they cared. If it was anything, I know that I personally watched Robin Page every day, Robin LaRue, which she's one of the Sound Vision ladies. I watched her page every day because it was just something. It was just something. I watched Val tag her in something. I saw Monique's name so many times because I just knew that it was going to be something. So you are right. It was more than just, they did play a part. They did their own following, and it played a part. But I just wanted it to be about being a mom.
Well, your energy from your team definitely got the attention. I saw an article in the Baltimore Band that indicated that First Lady Moore had actually did a shout out about the young lady, and it became the reason behind it was the amount of flyers.
Oh, she did.
She did. Yeah. As well as Jada Pinkett Smith's mother, her mom, had also mentioned what was going on in Baltimore City with missing children. So that energy alone is what got the attention of some really key players who hopefully can come back to Baltimore. A few things that I got going up is Val Jenkins. Look, this chick is 24 hours a day. This young lady, if you want to make a donation, you wake up in the middle of the night, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Do it any dollar amount. She can use that money for gas. She's definitely always making sure she's picking up people. She's doing food. She's with the colleges. She's with the homeless. She's with the bombing. She's with the shooting. She's with the murder. I mean, Val has a team. Her boots on the ground is literally, that's the truth. You look in the dictionary, boots on the ground, that thing's going to be right there on the ground. So again, when she mentioned the umbrella, it's definitely an umbrella. So if you want to make a donation, a tax deduction of that, yeah, you definitely do it to Hugs Don't Shoot. Like even if it's $20 as a gas card, purchase a T-shirt. Those proceeds again funds all of her mission, and that's all of the mission. Heart Madison is another nonprofit. It's boots on the ground that works with missing children and human trafficking and the homeless. One single lady on the corner. You think she's the next Big Gaddy. I mean, I'm watching this little 30-year-old woman. I'm scared to death because she's right on the corner on North Avenue. and Broadway alone, but she's built such a reputation out there. So Hart Madison, she has a page. Go follow that one. There's going to be a murder mystery coming up. Your Infinite Path Foundation. Kathy, I'm a keynote speaker for that. They're trying to open up a new house. There's not enough housing, and nor are there enough resources for missing children when they come back, because you don't go back to normalcy. When a child is abducted, when a child runs away, when a child is missing, when you reunite, it's not going to go back to, oh, it's bedtime at 9, we're going to get up and have breakfast. No, you got to have some type of resource. And thanks to Erica Bridgewood, I mean, she definitely helped me with the Baltimore Community Mediation Center. If you have a young adult, if you have a student that need to have a conversation, they can go there and have a conversation. So they've been working with me for years. I can send teachers there to tell their parents to go there. Maybe, the child doesn't want to have a conversation with them. Here's that moment to bridge that gap. So those are the organizations that I really wanted to talk about. Relisha Rudd is still missing. So July 7th, I'll be in D.C. I'll be campaigning with the police department, the National Citizens for the Children, name is organization, and Mr. Henderson Long with DC's Missing, because we do this 24 hours a day and all day long. So look to those pages for additional resources after this. Great.
And Mr. Long is always sharing these posts. He's always on my page sharing. And even though his child is still missing, his spirit and his love is just absolutely amazing. And it's wild how you hear so many people going through so much, but it's the ones that goes through so much is the ones that's out here helping the most. They are the ones that's helping the most.
It's crazy.
Yes.
Well, I have really enjoyed this conversation. I have learned some things that I'm going to pass along, and I definitely don't want this to be the last time we have a discussion like this if it's needed. And something tells me that it's going to be needed.
It's not. We most definitely. And Diamond, people don't know that Diamond gave me the first opportunity to be on the radio. I ain't know nothing about being on the radio. I thought it was a whole joke when people tagged me. And he was like, hey, what was the guy name? The guy was on the two guys up on the... Ocean, right. And I walked in, I was like, no radio, but it was Diamond Station was the first station that gave me an opportunity to be on the radio.
We should take you way back, won't you?
Yeah. Because I'm always grateful. I don't care if it's 20 years later. Thank you is just a word, but it means so much. It's so much.
So hugsdon'tshoot.com, known as Monique.com.
Chanel Manigo.
Hugsdon'tshoot.org. Yes. Okay. .com, known as Monique.com.
Chanel Manigo, Sandwiching Ladies. You can find me, and I am sandwiching_ladies on IG.
Yes, okay. This was absolutely wonderful.
Absolutely, I really appreciate it, and definitely much continued success to the three of you.
Thank you.
All right, and everybody, I'll be back here tomorrow, of course, 6 p.m. And thanks for tuning in.
Visit OnFIRE-TV.com for live top stories, breaking news, and original shows.